Hey friends, and welcome in to A Walk Through the Word, Daily Bread with Crystal Fry. I am your host, Crystal Fry, and I have a question for you. What is more powerful than working together? My guest and I talk about this very thing on today's episode. Joining me is Guillermo Martín, an author and educator dedicated to sharing the principles and strategies that underline our wellness as individuals and as a society. Our conversation takes us on a journey to explore the thoughts behind his new book, Cooperation Paradigm, the power of our choices, and how we can move from a society of fear and scarcity to one of freedom and abundance. In addition to his book, Guillermo shares about the cooperation paradigm as a platform to support the cultural evolution of our society and the implementation of cooperative initiatives. Originally from Spain, Guillermo lives in Charlotte, North Carolina with his wife and 2 children, where he enjoys the hospitality of the South, its magnificent beauty, and the opportunity to live every day surrounded by loving and fun people. My friends, what a gift, what a blessing, what an honor to share this conversation with you. Now, be sure to check out the show notes to connect with Guillermo on social media and on his website. And of course, go check out his book, Cooperation Paradigm. All right, friends, here we go. God's word is powerful. The missing link is our identity in Christ. When we know who we are and who He created us to be, that is when we can truly walk in freedom. You are never alone. There is hope, and that hope is Jesus Christ. Guillermo, thank you so much for joining me on the show today. It is such a pleasure to have this time together, to have this conversation with you. I'm very excited about the things that we're going to talk about and get to share with our listeners. But before we dive into all of that, do me a favor and give us a little bit of an introduction for any of our listeners who may not be very familiar with you.
Okay. Thank you, Crystal, for the opportunity. I'm very excited to do this with you today and talk a little bit about this project, the cooperation paradigm, which, as you know, it's been a journey, I guess. Starting back when I was living in Phoenix, Arizona, I have an intuition, so to speak, based on my experience coming to the US. I grew up in Spain, in Europe. Things are a little different there. And I realized that this world, especially in the US, it's very competitive at some point, which I think now is Western culture is like that, basically everywhere. So I had this intuition one day, and this whole cooperation paradigm way of thinking started then to develop. And I'm right now like a educator. I've been educator for many years now. I live in North Carolina, and my passion is just to find ways to help people understand themselves better, and from there also try to create communities and create like a more positive and abundant world, I guess. I've always been very interested in learning about spirituality and things like that, and getting to know myself, and just a lifelong learner, I would say, a curious person. And that's a little bit about me, I guess. I have family. I have
Well, I am so excited to have you here to explore a little bit more about this. We have a lot of things in common. We are both lifelong learners. I've always been a very curious person, and
Mhm.
have definitely run down a lot of rabbit holes. Because once you open up a piece, then there's more, and so there's like
Uh-huh.
this never-ending, kind of. You can always ask that question, why or how, or tell me how this works, explain it to me. So we share that in common, definitely, and also very much getting to know who we are as individuals. Like, I know I've shared with my listeners before, my own spiritual journey has been one that has extended the length of my life, and
Mhm.
several years ago I really pulled that into trying to understand more about me and who I was, like not who everyone else said that I was, or not who, people put expectations on us and all of these things, and not any of that, but just when all of the other things are gone, who am I at the core? So again, we share a lot of these things in common, which is beautiful, and usually tends to lead
Mhm.
to a really interesting conversation. But I'm going to ask you my favorite question to ask my guests, and I know that'll
Okay.
dig us further down. And that is just simply, how has your faith impacted your life? How is it, what role has it had, and how has it really helped to steer you to where you are now?
Uh-huh. I think faith is such an important word. To me, faith is this intuition, that there is something else. And from that intuition, there's this whole like mystery of life. And that's why I was saying that I was always, and I am very curious person. I think we just see like 1% of what it is, this whole mystery of life. And and that always like propels me forward to keep asking questions and to get to know myself. You said the question also, who am I? And sometimes I put that even in a different way. I say, what am I? Like, because I don't even see myself as just like as a human. I mean, I'm a human, but I'm what am I? In this big universe, um, to see myself with maybe different eyes, a different
Mhm.
vision. And it always propels me forward, like I said, and keep like asking questions and trying to get better, trying to understand others, because I know is this knowing, is this intuition, strong intuition that there is so much more. And when you couple that with the feelings that you get sometimes when you go about your day and you act in this way or in that way, and you get this feedback. You're always getting this feedback, right? You're getting these little nuggets, emotions and feelings, and that becomes your experience, and you let that like drive you. Wow, you see, like there are many different paths and many different ways to live your life, and they are all for you to explore. So every day is, to me, I wake up every day and it's like I don't see as routine. I try not to see routine. I try to like see every day as an opportunity to do something new, to become a little better, to do my part a little better than the day before, I guess. So that's a way that my faith helps me every day, I guess.
Absolutely. And I think that's really important for people to have that perspective, or to at least be curious about that perspective. Many
Mhm.
times people as a whole tend to get stuck in routine. Wake up, um depending on what stage of life you're in, wake up, get the kids ready, drop them off at school, go to
Yeah.
work, pick them up, come home, make dinner, go to bed. And it
Yeah.
it can turn into this very scheduled routine, almost autopilot, where you're no longer paying attention to what's really going on, around you, and not only in your own life, but in the world around you as well. And I think when we get into those ruts, it's almost like having blinders on, like we're so focused on here, this, that we forget to look up and see, oh my goodness, like the flowers are blooming. It's spring, it's or whatever it
Yeah.
is. But I love that you wake up every morning with the perspective of this is a new day and a new opportunity for new things, because that is exactly what each new day brings. Um, we're not guaranteed tomorrow. And
Mhm.
and I think sometimes we forget about that too. We always think, oh, well, tomorrow, tomorrow, tomorrow,
Yeah.
but we're not guaranteed tomorrow. And so part of my I guess maybe we could call it a self-discovery journey that I went on several years
Mhm.
ago was, what if tomorrow didn't come? Like what if this was actually just it? What have you done what you wanted to do? Have you made the impact that you wanted to have? And for me, that was focused very much on my children. And did I teach them what I wanted to teach them? have
Mhm.
i have I created an environment where they value love, and understanding over other things that are not, over material things? Have I created an environment where they look through the lens of their heart, not just through the lens of what their physical eyes can show them? And so yeah, so I went like way deep into a lot of things.
No, I'm
um
listening because you're saying so many true things and so many important things.
And I think we get stuck sometimes.
Yeah.
And so when your book, Cooperation Paradigm, I so enjoyed reading through it. Like I so enjoyed listening, because I your voice was in my head. When I read, I actually hear.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an
That is very
interesting
cool.
thing. But yeah, I
Yeah.
when I read, I actually hear the voice.
Mhm.
And as you explain things, I see it's like a movie screen in my mind. As you
Uh-huh.
explain things, it comes to life for me. So but as I read through and just getting to see a different perspective and getting to see how someone else thinks that we could make things work. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. I enjoyed working with you on the project, and I would love for you to share with the audience kind of the concept of the book and also how it came to be, because I know it was a journey for you that spanned multiple years to write it. So I would love for you just to share more about it with the audience.
Yes, absolutely. And hopefully I can do a good job because I feel like this book, I just wrote it like a little bit out of like many times inspiration. And I feel like it's hard later to, I don't even know what I wrote, it's funny. But going back to your point of repetition every day and like being in a reactive mode, that is so dangerous, because that's why the world is the way it is, because we are not mindful in the moment. And when the choice comes that we can choose to do one thing or the other, we are in such a reactive mode that we don't even like have the wisdom of the heart, like you were talking about, which is so important to teach all the children to really like think less from the brain, from that reactive reptilian brain, and go more into the heart. And I believe that every person like has a book to write. You already did yours, and that's such a good thing to leave for your kids, and that's in a way why I wrote this book. Many times I thought like, well, I don't know, I don't have like tomorrow guaranteed, like you said. And you hear about all these celebrities, and sometimes not celebrities, like people in your community that pass, at some point. And it's like, well, you know what? Like I might as well like leave a few thoughts here for my kids. So that was such a good accomplishment for me to write the book, just for the kids, for my kids. And the cooperation paradigm is going back to the basic approach. It's a very simple thing. but it's a very powerful thing at the same time. And I believe the important ideas are those that are powerful, but at the same time simple. There are so many complex ways of looking at the world, but that's not going to stick. We need something simple and powerful to be viral. What is simpler than cooperation? To work with each other. But we just need to look around and see how the world is set up. And the world is set up to divide and conquer us, our energy, our attention. To be worried about like things that we should not be worried about, and not question the things that are important that make a difference in our daily lives. And that's what the cooperation paradigm is. It's like you have a choice or on how to react to this environment. You cannot choose what happens to you, but we all have a choice about how we react to that thing. And that's why what you said is very important. This mindfulness, this knowing that every day is a little bit different, and you have a choice. Somebody comes to you for help, well, you have a choice. Somebody tries to make you upset, waiting somewhere, well, you also have a choice. And we can be on the positive side of things or on the negative. So cooperation just means like you have a vision of others being part of yourself. We are not separate from our environment, from nature, for example, and we are not separate from others really. At a spiritual level, we are all in this together, literally. Sure, we are in the same planet for sure, but it goes deeper than that, you know. There is this whole like non-local field of energy that has been like researched in different ways that is very interesting, like conventional science, or what I call centralized science. Centralized because it's just a monopoly of companies that pay for the studies to put the science out there. But science is much more than that. So they don't want to talk about these things too much. They always leave it on the pseudoscience or on the funky stuff. But there's this field of energy, and I don't know how we'll like traditional spirituality will call this, or in Christianity, you know, but it's part of us. We're all united. And when you have that perspective, you treat others differently. If I say that you're my friend, of course, if I come from that perspective, I'm going to trust you, right? A priori, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt, and I'm going to collaborate with you, and I'm going to cooperate with you, which is the opposite of what we do most of the time, and how companies, entities, governments treat each other. We are trying to we just see the others like as separate from ourselves. And when we do that, guess what? The whole universe is like foreign to us. That is very scary. So what Jesus and all the founders of religions and other like wise men throughout history, what they were preaching is basically the same thing. It's like, hey guys, like we're in this together, you know, and we have to love each other, sisters and brothers. And when we do that, guess what? You tend to cooperate, to collaborate with others. And then cooperation is the biggest leverage of power that we have. Right now, we have technology that is incredible, right? You and I are talking here. We can put people on the moon. We can pretty much do anything that we want. The only missing key ingredient that we have is the willingness to work with each other to accomplish the important things in our lives, which are like to have abundance, to have freedom, right? But we don't accomplish it. We can't right now because we don't have the proper consciousness, level of consciousness, the mindset of seeing others as part of me. I'm not going to go against your best interest, Crystal, if I know you're part of me somehow. I'm going to advocate for you. So that is in a nutshell what the cooperation paradigm is. It's a way of thinking differently. It's a different paradigm. Right now, we live in the competitive paradigm, when I have to compete with others and just seek my benefit, me. And I don't care what happens to you. And even not only that, I'm going to sometimes seek my benefits at your expense. And that's why the world is such a mess. Now, if I turn that around and I seek my benefit and also your benefit, because I include you in my perspective, wow, now magic happens. Now the world can change. I believe like we could have a completely different world in 10 years. In 10 years, if a few like powerful leaders started to change things, we will also embrace this type of culture. All the technologies that we already have were utilized the proper way. There is no reason to have like kids going to sleep without a meal every day. There is no reason for that in this world. So, and so many other things. So that's, I extended a little bit of explanation, but that's what the cooperation paradigm is.
No, no, you're perfect. You're perfect. I love there are a couple of things that you said in your explanation and in your description that really that kind of light me up. One, as you talk about choice and understanding that each and every one of us has a choice. And I think that's one of the misconceptions. That's one of the things that mass media and the programming that we get fed, and I call it programming because that's really what it is. It creates this environment where we as individuals relinquish our responsibility to make our own choices. We blame, right? Well, he did this or she did that. When my kids were little, they are pretty much grown now, but when they were little, they're both boys. And so, boys are rambunctious and all that kind of good stuff. But we would be driving somewhere and they would be in the back seat and, I would hear them arguing, and then he hit me. Okay. Do not hit your brother, first of all. Like, we don't hit, like, do not hit your brother. Well, he made me. Oh, no, 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 no. Like I started with them very young. I was like, no, 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 no. He didn't make you hit him. He may have done something that stirred up feelings of anger in you, but you chose to hit him. You chose to react and hit him instead of keeping your hands to yourself. Like that is a choice. And I think that's something that we as adults just like completely relinquish our control over our own choices, and we blame others and we blame society and we blame this instead of saying, you know what? I have a choice. Each and everything that I do is a choice that I make. There is no one forcing me to have this conversation with you, right? There is no one forcing me to get up and go about my day. Like all of the things that I do are my choice. And that was a pivotal place for me personally to understand and to really grab hold of, because it's not just in the big things, it's not just in the, well, I'm going to make the choice on what house I buy or what car I buy or what university I go to or who I marry. It's about the small choices that we may think are insignificant, but they develop our patterns. Deciding I'm going to drink water instead of, something else, instead of soda. I'm going to, I'm going to eat a vegetable instead of a cookie. I mean, just all of these
Those are the
things.
type of choices right there.
Exactly. Yes. I mean, we really, we are in control of these choices. But for many people, it's easier just to say, oh, well, I don't have any willpower. It's about choice, not willpower, because willpower will fade. It's about disciplined choice and deciding this is what I want, and what I want is greater than the temptation that I'm facing. And, that can be applied to so many different areas of life. So I always get excited when people talk about, choice, because I'm like, yes, like you are where you are because of the choices you've made or allowed others to make for you. Like when
Yeah,
you don't choose, you're allowing someone else to choose for you.
and that is our true freedom, really, because mm, we cannot control what happens to us in a way, but we do have a choice, like I said, about how we react to this
Yes.
thing. Like in the case of your kids, right? Like, oh, he just hit me, so then I can react differently, and I can even have a choice on how I feel. That's another thing that we could go for hours about, your choice of feelings too. So there is this whole like emotional scale of feelings that we need to get to know ourselves, where we are, and just go from there, learn to navigate going up and down that emotional scale, because our feelings and our thoughts, I also believe this, have a powerful effect in this non-localized field of energy, which we
Yes.
could call it like, it doesn't matter how you call it. You can call it like life, the universe, God, the Father. Each person is going to say something different, but there is another element that is not material. And going back to your initial question, like, this is not a material universe. This is a spiritual universe. We're just having a physical experience in this material universe. So there is power in that too. It's not just about actions. I'm going to, I don't know, go and plant trees this weekend. Those obvious things that are nice choices to make. But every day, our own emotions matter, because that transforms, puts this vibration out there. And I know vibration is this woo-woo word, but when you meet somebody, you can also tell the vibration that the people is carrying, and that has a
Absolutely.
contagious effect too, this little butterfly effect thing, So imagine if everybody was going around that way, instead of like yelling at each other at traffic lights. So yeah, the power of choice is our true freedom, perhaps the only
Absolutely.
freedom that we have.
Yeah, and you're
Mm.
exactly right. There is, we look with our physical eyes and we see the pen and we see the phone and we see the desk and we see the tangible items in our physical world, but there very much is a spiritual plane as well. And they're very much like you talk about the energy and the vibration, and all of that is absolutely true. Like we don't operate in just a material plane, like we don't operate just in this place. There is so much more to us as individuals. We were not created just to be you know that anyone who questions of our whether or not we were created by an intelligent maker only has to look at how the human body works. If you actually look at how, just even forget about nature, okay, just look at the human body and how everything works in concert, in cooperation with each
Mhm.
other, right? We are designed to function. We are designed, the way our neurons connect, the way all of these things. And there's an energy to that as well. And, when you meet people, maybe you don't think about it, but you meet people, and there are some people that you meet and you're just like, oh my gosh, I want to hang out with you all day long, and I just want to know everything about you, and you really really connect with them.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then there are other people where you're like, oh, I'm not really sure what happened with you this morning, but I'm going to go over there, because like you can feel the energy that people put off, and those vibrations. And I know some people definitely think that that's kind of woo woo, but it's really not. It's really not as woo woo as people think it
Yeah.
is.
I'm not attached to any words. You're right that sometimes really people get hung up on words. Well, just
Yeah.
another word, but we all understand what you are saying here, right? If you don't like vibrations, just call it like I don't know, charisma or a feeling. It doesn't matter, right? Um, but yeah, sorry to interrupt you, your train of thought. Like,
Oh, no, no, no. No, that is one of those things where, again, going back to something you said earlier about really being mindful. Again, we're so inundated with television and social media and all of these things. And again, like the collective programming, and people don't always realize that those things are all designed to alter your thinking. They're designed to feed you a narrative, whatever that narrative is. It is not, hey, guess what? You actually have, a brain that operates all by itself. Like where would mass media be if they actually told people, hey, you could think for yourself?
yeah, and that's why this is so important that in education, right? In schools, we had like emotional intelligence, more of it,
Hmm.
and I feel like still today's day, most schools just operate in a paradigm. It is a competitive paradigm, which is based on fear
Yes.
and fear of scarcity. You want your kids to be this race. In fact, in education for many years, they have used this no child left behind, which you tell me what that implies. It implies there is a race. What do you mean behind?
Hmm.
There is a race for something. And parents just act out of fear and put kids into this never uh, never ending race of um, grades and pressure to accomplish, and you need to go to this school and blah blah blah. And that's not how life operates. Definitely not in the 21st century now. Like, I don't know who's going to need to go to the university soon, with all these things that are coming out. But it's important that we make choices, going back to support kids in ways that are not like in a world based on fear, and show them with your example that this world does not need to be scary and scarce and fearful, and you need to be out there competing, because that's never ending. What a sad way of living,
That's
to be
right.
always worried about tomorrow. You're missing the present moment. But you said it's true. Like, to me, this culture is not your friend. And I take that from Terence McKenna. I don't know if you've heard of this guy, but he says that phrase: this culture is not your friend. We need to create a new culture, because there is programming. And I have no doubt in my mind, and this is where all the people are now, another conspiracy theory. Is like, what I tell people that tell me, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist? I tell them, guess who was the first conspiracy theorist? It was the famous Greek philosopher Plato, 2,500 years ago. He described the cave. This is called the allegory of the cave, where there were these prisoners in a cave, and the owners of the cave were projecting images through fire. So they had this fire, and they put like these shapes in front of the fire. Then the projection goes into the wall, and the prisoners are looking into the wall and saying like, wow, you're kind of like mesmerized by these images, which is pretty much the TV, if you think about it. So TV is just like this thing to program you literally to be fearful, to be stay in this fearful state, to be a consumer. So every 20, 15 minutes, you're going to have a break for commercials, and they're going to tell you the things that are trendy, the things that you need, or what drug you need to ask your doctor for. And it is incredible if we step outside and say like, what is this thing here? So for people to tell me like, I'm a conspiracy theorist because I think there's programming. They're trying to like tell you how to behave, how to think, how to feel. Well, it's so obvious to me that it is the case. So we need to be mindful out there and be careful, because I'm not sure that culture, like I said, is our friend, and we need to create a new culture. And this is in a way what is this book is just a humble attempt of at least look at, hey, look at this. We can create a culture that is more trusting of each other and more positive, because we do live in an incredible place. You know, you said like the body's incredible. The body is absolutely incredible. A tree is incredible. Like nature is incredible. And sure, we have like natural disasters and things like that. We cannot control everything, but there is so much potential, so much abundance. I do not buy into this notion that we need to like now cut population in 50% and go to consume like, I mean, there is so, have you seen the sun? Look up to the sun, like there's so much energy coming from that thing. I mean, it's incredible the amount of potential that we have. We just need to coordinate us, you know, collaborate with each other instead of like sending tanks to other countries to kill people. Maybe put that energy into something else. Create our children, tell them a different story, give them emotional, intelligent tools. Don't tell them that tomorrow is scary. Tell them that tomorrow is exciting. And really rewire our brains to go from this reptilian brain, which is this constant like flight or flight. You know, I'm scared. And that's why I'm so reactive. And if somebody says hello, it's just like, hey, what do you want? You know, like, hey, I'm just saying hello to you, chill, you know, like comes down to that mindfulness. So it's a process, but we need to first realize the opportunity is there. You know, we don't have to keep reacting the same way that we've been doing, because otherwise we're just prisoners in that cave. We just keep perpetuating these feedback loops the same way that this system wants us to react that way. So let's create new feedback loops. Become empowered. At the end of the day, this is about power. So the system doesn't want you to be empowered. They want you to be a consumer. Yes. For their own benefit, for their own benefit. Who are they? I don't know. It's probably like, let's call it like the 1% of the 1%. I'd say like most people are good people. And when they look into the heart, they know, they differentiate between good and bad. And maybe there is this 1% that happen to be at powerful places that kind of like mess it up for everyone. I like the analogy of the elephant, you know, that little elephant that is tied with a chain, you know. So that's humanity. We're this big elephant, powerful, right? And we have this other guy that is telling the elephant, no, you cannot leave, you're here, eat this food, do this, do that trick. We at some point need to wake up and realize that when we coordinate with each other, when we cooperate with each other, like we can do incredible things. We don't have to comply in a way. We don't have to go with this game, you know. You don't have to ask for permission. Like a very simple thing that we can all do is create, for example, this, I talk about this in the book at the end, like creating these sharing networks. It's so easy to create a sharing network. Basically on an app, you know, and there are many apps these days. There's one that I'm trying to promote because it's just the work of another person that I know also doing this type of work in his life. It's called sharebay.org. But you could do it in Telegram, you could do it on WhatsApp, you could do it in another, and just invite your friends, invite your community, and just create a network to share and to gift, not to exchange, not to charge for things, just to give and receive whenever you need. You can also ask for help. And this is something that we do in our community here, where I bring my kids to school. It's a little school here. And we do it naturally, you know, say, hey, I'm sick today, who can take my kids to school? Or I have 2 bikes here that are small now for my kids. Who wants these 2 bikes? And just start sharing and creating like you would with your own family, with your own friends. We don't need permission for that. Isn't that a change of culture? It is, right?
Yes, absolutely. And to your earlier point, like we are all connected on a very human level. You know, aside from just we all happen to be human beings. There is so much more to that. Like we are, and I know that human beings are the most advanced of the species, and I get that. But if you look around at nature, you don't see the same type of competition that you do with human beings. And I know that there are a lot of reasons for that, and I get that. But if we will take a step back and realize that we can move beyond the stage of simply trying to survive. I think many people are still mentally and emotionally in a state of survival mode, where they're not trusting enough of themselves and their own capabilities to realize that there is more than just trying to make sure that you can survive. And if we can, when we come together and we practice cooperation and we practice real community, that gives us the pathway to move from simply surviving into thriving, into actually being able to become the full expression of who we were created to be. Like, we weren't created you know, to wake up and go to work and die. Like, we were created, to wake up and
Yeah,
work a job and die. Like, that's not why we were created. But
certainly
so many
not.
people get stuck in that because they don't realize that there's more. There's more to life than your job. There's more to life than whatever people think about you on social media. There's more to life than simply, the things. Life is an experience, and it's one that is a gift for us to, open up each new day that we get, and to actually, when I say make something of it, I don't mean like, oh, well, I was a CEO and, all of those things, like, to actually make it better for yourself and for those around you. Like, are your kids better because you were their parent? Do they have more understanding of others? Do they have a more positive outlook on life because you were their parent? Like, what happens in other people because you happen to be there around them? And I guess I've kind of graduated into that level of thinking, as opposed to, well, I'm gonna walk into this room, what can you do for me? It's instead
Right.
of the take, it's the, what can I leave with you? Like, how can I leave this space better than the way I found it? And I think that is also a critical mindset shift for people, is understanding what can they give, as opposed to, you know, I need to take. Does that make sense?
It does make perfect sense. And I was just thinking about the power of cooperation because it's very transformative. And you were talking about getting versus giving, right? And really, when we come to the realization that we're in this together and we're connected in a deeper way that we even imagine, then you get to this: giving and receiving is the same thing. In fact, perhaps only when you give is when you actually have something. This is a very deep, I think, simple yet very deep realization that I'm still trying to live fully in my life. But don't you think, like, I'm sure you have experienced this, obviously, with for your kids, for example, right? It's just giving to them is just the biggest joy, right? And it's when you actually have that thing. And that's why you were talking about CEOs and all these people that have climbed the ladder of success, quotation marks, and they climb the ladder and they get up there and they realize that they are by themselves. There is nobody up there and they are lonely. And it's because they are been missing this contribution to others, cooperation, working with others, giving to others, because that's what naturally we humans seek. That's when we actually graduate as human beings to the next level of consciousness, is to get out there for others, and it changes us. So that's the beauty of cooperation. That is, in itself, it's a positive thing. It's going to create positive outcomes, and also it's a vehicle of transformation in itself, because just by
Yes.
participating in these things, you're going to be like, oh, I feel different. I'm happy giving you. How is this possible? I thought I had to keep, accumulate. That didn't bring me much joy. And all of a sudden, I'm letting it go. and giving you and then receiving back more. That's magical.
Yeah, it's amazing. And we don't actually understand that until we do it, because I know that there are many people who have the mindset of, well, it's mine and I worked hard for it and so I want to keep it. And I get it. I understand, but at the same time, I invite I invite anyone who does feel like that to try it. Just try it. Try taking what it is that you worked hard for and giving it away to someone else, because ah, there are there is so much joy in being able to actually help provide something for another human being. And it's even more fun when you do it and they don't know you do it. Like when it's more or less anonymous, but you can see the impact of that gift for that person. It truly is an incredible thing. And that just brings us back into this place of cooperation, this place of, as what can beautiful question to ask yourself every day. What can I do to cooperate with others today? How can I cooperate with my spouse today? How can I cooperate with my children today? How can I cooperate with my coworkers today? How can I cooperate with my business partners, with my neighbor, with my friends? How can I do that? And our brains are really cool things. When you ask the question, how can I fill in the blank? Your brain immediately goes to work finding you a solution. And so if you ask yourself, how can I cooperate with my spouse today? 9 times out of 10, you're going to go through your day and maybe there's going to be maybe you're going to have an argument over dinner or something like that. Your brain is going to go, ooh, how can I cooperate? I can cooperate by letting them win the argument, whatever it is, probably a bad example. But if you ask the question, how can I, whatever, your brain will start finding solutions for you. And same thing goes if you ask all the time, like, why me? Like, why does bad stuff always happen to me? Your brain goes to work giving you answers for that. So we have to be mindful and careful about the questions that we ask ourselves, because our brains will go to work for us finding a solution.
You are so right on this. I think the power of using the proper questions, it's amazing. We need to learn to utilize the right questions. Um, and yeah, how can I cooperate today? So what I was thinking is like, this is not a call for I need to give everything away, and you need to go into your heart. You need to go into the every moment. What is life? What is God, universe, whatever label you want to call it, use it. And naturally let that happen. It's not about forcefully like giving things away. Oh, I love my car, I need to give it to a person. No, it's not that. It has to be joyful. It has to be fun. This is the other exciting thing. Cooperation is really fun. So, but let that come to you, because the world is full of people that needs things in the moment. They will come to you for help, to you, and maybe later to other persons. So you don't have to change the world. It's not your job to change the whole world. Nobody can carry that load, you know. It's not about like becoming this hyper responsible person. I have to like give everything away. No, need to take care of yourself too. Sometimes we have fallen in the past. We know people that have like maybe in an attempt to get attention, to give everything away and to become this super good person, you know. It's not that. It's a process that happens naturally. And whenever the choice comes to you, look into your heart. You were talking about your brain, the brain. Well, maybe it's not so much the brain. I know what you mean. You meant. This is wisdom, you know, the wisdom comes to the heart, comes to somewhere, but it comes. And then you make the right choice. Yeah, it feels good. I can actually help you. Let's do it together. Let's do it. I don't mind giving this to you now. I actually can do it. But if I only have one, and I give you this one to you, then I don't have it. Then what's the point? Somebody's gonna be missing it. So I'm important too. It's not about others being more important than me. It's about cooperation. It's about seeking my benefit and your benefit, both of us. How can we collaborate? So that question is a super powerful one. How can I cooperate today with my children, my neighbor, my community, myself also? How can I collaborate with myself? How can I be like more gentle with myself? Can I love myself a little bit better? Can I appreciate the things that I'm having already in my life instead of focusing so much on the things that I don't? Wow, that's a powerful exercise of appreciation. If you appreciate the things, wow, you start seeing the world with a different light. One example that I think
Gratitude
is
is so
very easy to
powerful.
gratitude. I'm coming back to gratitude. We have been, all of us have been sick at some point. To me, it's so easy to see that when you're sick, you can remember that you were, oh my goodness, I was feeling so great yesterday, or something happened to me, I broke my bone or whatever. It's like, why do you do that? I feel terrible now. I was so happy yesterday. Lucky I was that I was in perfect shape, no problems, and I was complaining because they were there. So go back to that place. It's like appreciate the things that you already have in your life. Appreciate the things that you already have in your life. My goodness, I have these wonderful children. I have these, and that's a powerful starting point to go out there. You don't cannot go out there to the world being like needy and weak and worried, and you have to empower yourself. So that's what I talk about, that emotional scale. We need to learn to navigate that to empower ourselves, because it does change how you perceive the world. If you're worried, you see the world in a different light. That all of a sudden, if you feel hopeful, it's completely different feeling, and it changes how you see it. Sometimes it
Absolutely.
right. Sometimes it takes like a good friend to call you, say, my goodness, after a call, like, I feel so hopeful now, like, or a lucky strike of some kind, I don't know. Or your favorite movie just comes on TV. I don't know, but that transformation is gonna like make it for you, and boom, all of a sudden you see it with different eyes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just one more example of how we help each other. And gratitude is such a major player in changing perspective and changing just yeah, I could talk for a whole another 2 hours on gratitude and the power of gratitude and how it can change your life. So, but we won't do that today. Guillermo, I just want to tell you how grateful I am to have you and to have this conversation with you. It's been such a pleasure. I would love for our listeners to be able to connect with you after this show. So, will you tell everyone the best way to connect with you?
Absolutely. The best way I think is just to go to the website cooperationparadigm.com, and there it's still a work in progress, but I'm trying to put out there like resources that are beneficial for everyone, like the sharing networks that I was talking about, even things to help the environment, and how to maybe at some point create like um, energy sources for how to create like food in your jar, and how to like uh, utilize the sun for energy, and things like that, just to help us become independent and empower ourselves. Of course, you have there the book. It should be a bestseller very soon. Everyone needs to get it, buy this book, not because I'm the best writer in the world, not at all, but I think this idea, it's a powerful idea. This is an idea whose time has come, and we all need to change the culture, at least in our communities. And it has such a powerful effect. We don't need to have the 99% of population doing this to have a transformative effect. We just have that tipping point, a small number of people, and it becomes this like unstoppable force. And you know what? Like, people see these things and they love it. They say, that is attractive. And I don't mean physically attractive. There's something cool about it. When these type of situations happen, it's a like tractor factory, So we do need to change the paradigm from one of fear and a scarcity, which is the competition, the constant competition, to one of cooperation. That's what our children wants us to do. That's what we need for ourselves, for humanity, collectively and individually. So yes, please go to cooperationparadigm.com, check it out. There's more to come, more building in the future, and I would love to become connected with other people as well. Crystal, I just wanted to thank you so much. It's been such a fun conversation and inspiring, and I think what you're doing is wonderful. So I encourage you to keep doing it. You're doing amazing.
It's been a joy and a pleasure. Hey friend, thank you so much for joining me on the show today. It's my pleasure as always to be here with you. If what you listened to today resonated with you, if you enjoyed listening to the show, do me a favor. Go ahead and like and subscribe to this podcast and leave a review. Those reviews are so helpful. I can't even tell you how much I appreciate each and every single one of them. And go ahead and share this episode out with a friend. Invite them along for a walk through the Word, and let's enjoy that daily bread together. See you tomorrow.